So we're done with our software critique assignment. I'm going to share with you some of the good things that I saw while grading, and then also share with you kind of how maybe you could tie some of this together and use it in your professional lives. So this one here was came from one of the groups, and their review. One of the good pieces that stood out to me was the theme that they used and how all of the design was uniform, and the color theme and the graphics that they used. You'll see, that they were able to use a nice solid stroke that separated the content from the background. They kept the yellow and the blue throughout the theme. The images are done and incorporated well. Again, it's a good use of the stroke here, and the feel of the theme almost kind of feels like a Nickelodeon in the early 2000s. So it's a cool, it's a cool feel to it. It feels good, and it also looks professional. This was another one. This group also used their theme well. The theme was uniform. What I particularly liked about this one, excuse me, what I particularly liked about this one is the way that they divided up the sections so that it was kind of easy to follow. And again, they kept the same theme with the same fonts throughout the presentation. This one here was a little bit different. It kind of has the feeling almost of a technical manual, and which is good. It's definitely good, and I like the way that they use the boxes here to separate it, to separate the different areas. Again, just kind of the way they used headers and the text, the different ways that they showed the data. They incorporated the links, they put the pictures. So it's an overall, it's a really good, solid piece of work, and it has a good feel to it. You could almost feel like it's printed out. And, since this is from the science-based team, it definitely has a science lab feel to it. This one here used a theme as well, and this one is the only one that turned in two artifacts, which is okay in the way that they did it. This one, the presentation kind of had a little bit more of the graphics, and then the second piece had more of the technical information, and so again, those were all the projects that were turned in. But I want to share with you some of my work, and then kind of tell you how you can tie some of these pieces together later for yourself. So this is my presentation for ISTE last year, ISTE 2018 in Chicago. And I had a workshop, 3-hour workshop, and these workshops are kind of a more intimate affair. I had about 16 people show up to it, and I had two pieces for my workshop. I had designed my presentation that's here on the left hand side. I had designed my a conference guidebook, so this was a handout, and then I printed it out and binded it, and put a nice covered gloss on it. And actually, I had a third piece also, which was the website. So if you click on, or if you go to the link, it has a website for you. But I want to show you how, kind of just how I presented the information, and then how you can use the work that you've been making here to design, some type of good conference or professional development presentation. So my presentation itself, just some things to consider when if you do share your work outside of this course. You want to make sure you have some type of goal or objective. I know everybody had an introduction, which is good, but you had the introduction to the software. So maybe consider having an introduction to the entire work where you're telling us we're going to be breaking down some pieces of software, just kind of the teacher thing. So even though we're designing pieces, consider that you're designing for learning. So you still keep your teacher hat on. What I had mentioned to a couple of you was that yours had the feel of a manual. So, making a little table of contents, adding the page numbers so it's easier to find the specific content that you're looking at, because whether you did a slides or a document, some of them ran pretty long, over 10 pages each, and then it gets kind of hard to start looking for information when you're going through it. And yeah, so I highly encourage you, to if you enjoyed this project of breaking down software, consider using some pieces from that in some type of professional development, and put your design skills to work, or find a template for it. And again, so this was my presentation. This is how I set up my own little notebook, or attendee guidebook, and then this is how I set up my presentation itself that had all of the resources. And again, you kind of always want to have, like, some type of table of contents that tells people everything that they're going to have, an overall introduction into exactly what you're doing. And then here I have all my pieces, my presentation, and then the artifacts and everything that goes with it. And by the end of the course, or through now, you're probably experts with Google Slides. So these are very much all in your wheelhouse. So if you have any questions, or you would like any support with helping turn any of that into a conference presentation, feel free to reach out.